Kanell, the future senior PGA Tour golfer, coming at us after winning a tournament yesterday, Danny?
It was a little celebrity shootout. It was up the breakers. I ousted Urban Meyer,
Ooh.
Mark Ingram, Brady Quinn. Nick Saban was there, but he bounced before the celebrity shootout, so I can't really claim that I beat him. But yeah, it was pretty good. Steve Walsh, who was an unbelievable quarterback for the Hurricanes, was one of my teammates. So we came together. Seminole and Hurricane came together to clinch the victory. So it was pretty cool. I mean, I have the trophy. Not that, I mean, it's right here. Little props, right there. It's going to go right in back of my office.
I saw you drinking out of it on social media.
Yes.
So.
Yeah, it was perfect. I mean, it was kind of like they drink out of the claret jug. I mean, similar, stature. It's the Berkey Invitational is pretty much the same as the British Open.
So I just looked at my USGA, the Gen apps. I mean, like, do you want to see your season or your year in rewind, essentially, kind of like Spotify? And unfortunately did not get to play enough golf with work and 2 kids under the age of 5.
Yeah.
What was your rewind like? Was it a pretty good one? What did the handicap start at? Where did it finish in 2025?
I didn't know you could do that, so I haven't even checked. I need to check because the last month I've been getting out more because I didn't play a ton in the summer because it's almost too hot. Our course closes down here in South Florida, so I didn't play a ton. So it's probably a little bit of a roller coaster because I think the low for the year was 2.7. And that was when a buddy of mine wanted me to play in his member guest, and he wanted to play in the top flight. So he's like, hey, can you plug in some scores? And I was like, well, then that's going to screw me at my club. All these guys are going to be giving all these strokes. So then it went up. It fluctuated all. I think the high was like 5.9. And then now I think we're settling down in like 4.1, I think is the last one. So it'll be a little bit of a bumpy ride. So I'm curious. Now I'm going to have to go check it out.
Yeah, go check it out after this. It kind of gives you like your, obviously, where you started, where you ended, your top scores of the year, your bottom scores, and just, it's like Spotify, your playlist, but for golf. So for us golf wannabes, it's a beautiful thing. Today with Danny, we're going to talk a little bit about the ACC, what the hell's going on, the new scheduling, just the crap show that is the ACC. We'll get some of these quarterback transfers and just what's going on there as well. It is mayhem already in the transfer portal, which is not even technically open yet there's a third of college football in the portal right now, trying to figure out where they want to go come next season. And then we'll get into some playoff talk as well. So you're the ACC guy, you're the SEC hater. We had Jake Butt on yesterday. He's the Big Ten guy. He's the SEC hater on that side. You do such a good job of really, poking the bear a little bit, which is the SEC. But the ACC comes out with their new schedule. Majority of the teams are going to play a 9-game conference schedule. And then there's going to be some teams playing an 8-game conference schedule. They had so many issues this year with the ACC championship, and now you're going to do this. What is going on, man? Can they figure it out? Like, what are we going to do?
No, they can't figure it out. And clearly with 17 teams, you've got an odd number, so that kind of throws a little bit of a wrench into it.
Can they not add an 18th team? Just find someone to join them? Like
UConn is desperate to join. UConn would love to be in the ACC. They've always and I think it'd be great for basketball too, but they're in the Big East for basketball, so I don't know how that would work. But for football, as opposed to them being independent, I mean, Notre Dame would be the biggest, and that's the one that could potentially save the ACC, because I worry about the long-term future of the ACC. Are they going to survive another realignment potentially coming in 2030? I don't think they do, unless they had a powerhouse like Notre Dame and a brand like Notre Dame. But Notre Dame has made it clear they don't want to join a conference, so I don't think that happens. So I look at the conference and I see stuff like this, and I see the way the last year unfolded, and it's just like they can't get out of their own way. They can't catch a break. They, when their good teams look like they're primed, like Clemson looked ready to make a run this year, they fall flat in their face again. So they're not a playoff team. When they've got a 10-2 team in the ACC championship game, and you're like, oh, that wouldn't be that bad. They're top 25. They lose to 7-5 Duke. It's just, they cannot get a break. So like and I know it's more than just breaks. Like there's been some leadership that you can question. And I like Jim Phillips a lot. I wondered if they could have gone to any sort of emergency lever that you could have pulled and said, you know what? But then, like, you have to explain that to Duke and their athletic director and Manny Diaz. And so you don't want to do that. That was the one thing out of this new announcement with the schedule that I was kind of curious because they said they're going to change the tiebreaker system, but they didn't tell you how. I think there's a pretty easy solution. You go to the teams that are the highest ranked. If they have the same record, you go to the highest ranking by the selection committee. It takes it out of your hands from the ACC. You don't have to pick somebody. You just say, hey, wherever you're ranked in the selection committee's rankings, we'll go with the highest ranked team. I think that's the easiest solution. I think that's probably where they go. And then from the teams that are playing the 8 games, I'm actually thrilled. Florida State is one of the teams. Florida, Clemson, North Carolina, I think Boston College are the 5 teams that play the 8-game ACC schedule because I want to play a tougher schedule, where you're seeing the SEC and Big Ten, play tougher opponents. Florida State already has Florida on the schedule from the SEC. They already have Bama on the schedule from the SEC. So you're going to play 10 really good Power 4 teams. So I actually think that was probably one of the things that, the ACC saw. Clemson's one of those teams. They play South Carolina. They typically play a pretty tough team non-conference. I would rather see that than Florida State cancel games with the SEC down the road. I'd rather see them play, more SEC and Big Ten opponents if possible.
No, I agree with that one. Sticking on the ACC a little bit, and I guess this will kind of lead into a little playoff talk as well. I've been a big fan of Miami all year. Like, I love Miami. I had a tweet early on the season, which Ohio State fans are still tweeting at me when I said it's Miami #1, and there's no one even close to them after that, and then they go and lose like the next week, of course. So I've been kind of eating crow since that tweet, but I still think they're one of the most talented teams. Call me crazy. I think when Carson is on, he's one of the most gifted quarterbacks in college football. I just think they have the recipe to be like last year's Ohio State. Super talented. They get hot like they did in November. I don't think a lot of teams want to play what they could do on both sides of the football. I guess 2-part question here. Do you think they're that good to make a deep run, and how much is it needed for the ACC for them to at least just get out of the first round versus A&M this weekend?
I mean, the ACC would love Miami to go on a run, and I think it does help the perception of the conference, but still, just being a one-bid league kind of speaks volumes about the ACC. It's just, the Big 12 is like, they've had a really good year. They had a lot of teams ranked in the top 25. I don't think they're that much better than the ACC. I think it's the top 2, the Big Ten and the SEC, and then I think it's the ACC and the Big 12, which is why I was totally okay when they were proposing the different models, when they were going 4-4, 2-2, 1-1. I was like, sign up for that. Yeah. Because or at least we know, that the ACC is probably going to get hosed in the process, right? You're not as deep. They're typically going to get more teams, but at least you know what you're going to get. And so you don't have years like this year where you get one and you get left out. So that's why I was like, sign up for that. And then they still have one at large. So if you did have a year where you had 3 really good teams, you could potentially steal one from the SEC or Big Ten. Like, I just thought that was there. So a little sidebar. But to your question about Miami, I totally agree with you. I think I had similar. I didn't go quite as strong, like head and shoulders, but I think the majority of the people that watch college football and saw their first 5-6 game run when they were undefeated made it through the gauntlet. And we thought it was a gauntlet at the time, and it's still a pretty good, schedule of games when, they crushed USF. They beat Notre Dame. They beat Florida. They beat Florida State.
Beat the brakes out of Notre Dame. I know the score doesn't show it, but
I know, same thing.
Beat them bad.
And they beat the brakes off Florida State. They were up 28-3, and Florida State scored a lot of garbage time. They could have beaten Florida by more, kind of took the gas off a little, or took the foot off the gas a little bit at the end. I vividly remember everybody going, like, they look different. They have creatures. That was their word along the offensive and defensive line. And I think that's what it takes to win and go on a run, is to have really good offensive and defensive line play. So, and also the thing I point out too is Louisville was not an awful team that they lost to, and they only lost by 3 with Carson Beck throwing 4 interceptions. Like, that's pretty amazing they were still in that game. And again, I don't think SMU is an awful loss. It's a bad one. They should have won the game, but you had an overtime interception. Who knows? You could have snuck that one out. So I do think they're playing better. They've gotten Pringle involved in the run game. It's sort of opened up a little bit of a big play capability in the run game. Malachi Toney's a weapon. They've even used him as sort of wildcat, throwing the ball as a former quarterback in high school. And then what version are we going to get of Carson Beck? If we get the best version of him, they can win it all. They could
Yeah.
absolutely go on this run, but that's a big if, right?
Yeah, but he's been more good than bad this
Oh,
season.
totally.
Oh, I mean, especially the
Yeah.
last month. I mean, hell, I remember that the game versus Louisville with the 4 interceptions. If you could go in there, it was funny, when I was in Kansas City, Alex Smith told me, I think it was, I forgot who it was, he was told stories in San Francisco that there was one of the quarterbacks that would go in before the film breakdown with the coaches and delete his interceptions from practice, just so he didn't have to watch them. And so they're like, "Where'd that play go? Oh, what play are you talking about?" Essentially, but if you go back to that Louisville game and delete those interceptions, which you can't, it's a part of the game. I get it. Carson was magnificent. I mean, it was an electric game throwing the football, but you obviously can't have those mistakes. And he's been known, and even at Georgia last year, to have those oopsies games. But if he could kind of rear that in and not have a 2, 3 interception game, I love this football team. So I'm still think they can make a deep run. And like you said, I think the ACC is hoping they at least get through the first round. But I have them honestly against Georgia in the semifinals. That's where I think that matchup's going to be. I think they could beat Ohio State in round
I
two.
wanna see it too. I wanna see Carson Beck versus Georgia. Like, just
I
for
do
the
too.
storylines, those dudes will be out for Carson Beck too.
Oh my God.
They'll
It'll
have
be
their ears they're pinned.
magnificent, absolutely magnificent. Let's stick on the playoffs before we get to some of these quarterback transfers. Your overall thoughts a little bit with the first 2 games. Like, I'm in the mindset, Danny, that, like, I would love to see 2 blowouts with those group of 5 teams, group of 6 teams, and then really then accelerate the conversation of what do we need to do? Because I sit back and say we could have had Notre Dame versus Ole Miss, which would have been a tremendous game, round 1. You could have had BYU also in the first round. So I've covered Tulane. I've covered JMU this year. I think they're really good teams. I think they're great coaching staffs. Obviously, they're going to get a chance in the Power Four rankings, but they don't stand a chance. And obviously, we already saw Tulane and Ole Miss. Where are you with the group of 6 getting in, and kind of what are your hopes for those games this weekend?
I used to, and I still am, like, I like the group of 5, group of 6 teams. I like when they have a worthy team that feels like they could pull off the upset. Like, back in 2017, I thought UCF should have had an opportunity to play for it and should have been recognized. They didn't. They were undefeated. They had beaten multiple Power 4 teams. Last year, I didn't have a huge problem with Boise State. Boise State went toe-to-toe with Oregon. They had a generational tailback in Ashton Genty. No one, and it was like, no, everyone was fine with it. But then when you could see this happening early in the season, because USF was like a trendy pick from the American, and then they get beat, I think 49-10 by Miami. Then it was like, oh, there's a pretty big gap there. Then you saw Tulane get housed by Ole Miss, that 45-10 game. You're like, oh boy, like these are our best options from the group of 5, which they were. They were the odds-on favorites from the group of 5 to make to the playoff. And then you had James Madison, and if you pulled up their schedule, they only played one Power 4 opponent, and they lost by 2 touchdowns, and they didn't play anybody else in the schedule that was really worthy. And so you could see this happening. And again, I don't want them to be excluded from the playoffs, but I do think they should have to earn it. And this year, I think they've just been gifted a spot the same
2
way that
spots.
Duke potentially spots, the same way that Duke potentially could have been. Like, I think there should be a minimum ranking that you should have to be. And maybe it's not the top 12. Maybe it's 15 where you're within you're within the conversation. But if
You're
you're in the
within the bubble
20s,
range.
yeah, within the bubble range where you're right there and you don't want to get screwed by some 9-3 Big Ten
Yep.
team because they're just a brand. Like, I don't want to see that either. So, like, if you're in that range, I think you should get the nod. But this year, I just think it was pretty evident they weren't close. And there were several other teams that were more worthy and deserving. That's why I don't love it this year. And I don't think it matters what the score is. I think there'll be enough pushback from the good
Yeah.
teams that were left out. Shoot, even if they pulled off an upset, I just think teams are going to, athletic directors, school presidents are going to look at this and reevaluate.
Do you not, though, like, my belief is there's the gap between the Power 4 and the group of 5, group of 6, however you wanna call them, is only gonna get bigger and bigger because of the transfer portal, because of NIL. I mean, we're seeing it every year. I mean, North Texas is about to lose their entire roster. That was a team that could have been, the representative in the playoffs. All these coaches are leaving the group of 5 to go to the Power 4. So, like, I get in years past when we didn't have this portal and NIL and the money differences when it comes to the TV contracts, like, I just think we're gonna create more and more separation between the 2 divisions where we're not going to get as many of those Boise State teams or UCF teams or Cincinnati teams when they were a part of the group of 5. Do you see that separation increasing?
Yes, absolutely. I mean, what we've seen evolve as we're becoming minor league NFL. is we're becoming like minor league baseball where there is single A, there's double A, there's triple A. And I would even argue you're seeing that gap. Like I'd say the Big Ten and SEC are triple A, Big 12 and ACC are double A, and the group of five are single A. Group of six are single A. So like there is that. And guess what? I played minor league baseball. They had championships for each level. That's where I wish the group of six would come up with their own national championship. Rather, like here's a trip to the tournament. And I do think they could win a game. I think we'll see an upset at some point if we keep going down this road. But the ability to win 4 games, I think it's an impossibility. I don't see that happening, even if you had a special quarterback. So, like, rather than just getting and maybe winning a game, I'd rather be competing for a national championship of your level. You are the best group of 6 team in the country, but I don't know, because I've talked to some coaches at a group of 6, I'm sure you have, that would love to see that. The pushback always used to be is, man, we're just not going to be able to keep up. But as you said, with the money that's out there, I think they're realizing we're a different level.
Oh,
So if
yeah.
you're a different level, have your own championship. I think it'd be a huge
Well,
success too.
I've covered the FCS playoffs. I covered them last week and this week. Last week, my game, Villanova Tarleton State, had over 1 million viewers for that game. Like people are
People love
watching those games.
playoffs.
People would watch a group of 6 games if you gave them the opportunity to create a tournament and a new champion there. So I would love a big picture for this playoff. Who do you like? Who are your true contenders when you look at the schedules going forward, the path, and just overall what team or teams you do like?
So I think there's 4 teams that can win it all. I have Georgia in there from the SEC is the only one that can win it. I do think, Texas A&M, obviously, they could beat Miami, but I actually like Miami, like you, to win that game. Texas Tech, I don't think can win it. I think they're too one-dimensional. I think Texas Tech and Oklahoma are very similar. Great defenses. And while Texas Tech's offense hasn't struggled as much, Baron Morton, I just don't trust. So I look at Ohio State, Indiana, but without Stephen Daly, it kind of makes me a little bit more nervous about their defense. I think Oregon is another team that's kind of flying under the radar. Like you said, Miami could be last year's Ohio State. I think Oregon, if they get healthy, if they get Decorian Moore back, Evan Stewart.
I was going to say, Evan Stewart comes back. That's huge.
Right. So that's, we don't know yet. Like what, if they get healthy, I think they're one. So I have the 3 Big Ten teams and I have Georgia as sort of the 4. I could talk myself into Miami. I do think they're one, but would I put meaningful money on it? Probably not. But I think that's probably as far as I'd go in the field. Is anybody else would you take Alabama or Oklahoma?
No, God, no.
Either.
I'm like dreading
Ole
watching
Miss?
that game on Friday night. No, I think Ole Miss without Lane, dude. We know Lane is so good. I think without him, you're going to lose some juice on offense. And I think Georgia's obviously proven that they've gotten better defensively since that game against Ole Miss. So I think they can slow down that offense, especially without him. So I just think that because I view Georgia so highly, I don't think Ole Miss can get through. And I just think Oklahoma and Alabama are just not very good on offense. Too one-dimensional.
I think Oklahoma wins.
I'm struggling with Oklahoma big time. Like, I don't know who to pick this weekend because obviously Ty has been pretty bad lately, but that Oklahoma offense is just so hard to watch. And yeah, the defense is good and really good, but are they elite good?
If you look at Oklahoma's game, their defense statistically has been great. But they did get out doubled up. I mean, Alabama put up 400. Ole Miss scored kind of easily.
Yep.
I think that's where. But how do you trust Alabama? I think Oklahoma wins this one. My favorite play in that one is the under. I think it's just going to be lower scoring.
Yeah, definitely the under. I don't know. I think Alabama's defense could pitch a shutout.
Yeah.
And I think I at least trust Alabama and Ty Simpson a little bit more to maybe
just
move
don't
in the
let
field.
Satania get loose. Just don't give up the big Isaiah Satania home run play that they've hit in the last couple games, which has bailed them out.
Yeah. I mean, hell, LSU safe corner doesn't rotate back to cover 2. He's supposed to be the safety, and the guy's wide open for a touchdown. They lose that game. So, last one real quick before I get you out of here. The quarterback transfer portal is just craziness right now. What are your thoughts just on these quarterbacks moving, leaving their schools, getting a new opportunity? Is it good for the sport? Is it good for them? I mean, a guy like Raiola, always, DJ Lagway, Sorsby, kid from Arizona State. Where are you with this whole process right now?
I am very cautious. If I'm looking for a quarterback in the market, I'm kind of cautious. I don't know if I'm going to back up the truck and give $4 million to any one of them that are out there. I sort of do like the combos where you get an Aaron Philo going from Georgia Tech with Buster Faulkner to Florida. I think that pairing could work. And the fact that he's seen him, he trusts him. but I think almost all of them have blemishes where it's like buyer beware. I do not think there's so many that are locks. And if you do look, now I'll say this too, because I don't love the trend, but we've had 4 Heisman Trophy winners in a
True.
row that
Yep.
have won, all transferred at some point. So there's no formula. It's just a part of the system. Kenny Dillingham talks about it all the time. Hey, it is what it is. You just have
Yep.
to learn to deal with it. But this is where you have to trust your scouting department and trust their ability to find guys. I'd probably rather have a guy like Kenny Minchie at Notre Dame who backed up CJ Carr. It's because I think CJ Carr is really good. Like
Yep.
losing to him in a quarterback competition is not the worst case. You kind of have somebody fresh that could be really good. So,
Well, I mean, we saw that this year with, old boy at Syracuse before he got hurt. I mean,
right.
he lose to CJ Carr, but he was great in the play I thought he was pretty good in the
Yeah.
playoffs last year when he came in and played.
Yep.
He goes to
And Jelly.
Syracuse, isn't just dealing before the injury, so, like, yeah, it just shows you that CJ Carr I'm with you, like, when I saw CJ versus, was it Texas A&M, I was like, "This dude's really freaking good." And
Yeah.
I thought he's been obviously, had some ups and downs for a young guy. Real quick, give me your top 2 or 3 guys in the portal, like, how would you rank if you're looking for a quarterback, who are the top 3 guys that you're gonna go after first?
Probably Sorsby, but he's been a little dicey down the
Yep.
stretch. But I didn't, and some of like he's a system fit because he can run. He's more of a
Yeah.
runner, so like he's a dual threat. I'd probably put Kenny Minchie. I mentioned him up there. I'm big on a couple guys who haven't entered yet, like Drew Mestamaker at North Texas.
Yeah.
I like him a ton. I think he's going to follow Eric Morris to Oklahoma
Probably.
State. I loved Mason Heinchel at Pitt. We'll see
Mhm.
what he does. I hope he stays at Pitt, but I don't know if they'll be able to afford to keep him. He's
Mhm.
another one. So I almost like guys that aren't in there yet. I'm out on Lagway. I think I've seen too many red flags. I don't love Dylan Raiola. There's just not a lot for me that do it where I'm like, yeah, let's go get that guy.
Oh, it's
Are you
gonna
the
be
same
absolutely
way?
crazy. Yeah, I mean, I kinda like those guys too. I think DJ's just so uber talented that maybe you take a flyer, and if you get him at a good price, I don't wanna
Yeah.
pay top
Right.
dollar for him, but if he's willing to take a little bit of a pay cut because he's been paid so much already, I think he's just you put him in the right system. I don't think he was in the right system at Florida. And you
Right.
get him to LSU, give him to Miami, I think he fits in a little bit better. So we'll see. It'll be fun to cover. Appreciate you, man. Enjoy the weekend, enjoy the playoffs, and go Miami for multiple reasons. So
Feels weird for both of us.
so weird. All right, that's Danny Kanell. We'll be back this weekend with some recaps from the college football season.